Hello everyone, welcome to episode 101 of the LARP Tales podcast. My name is Oliver, I am one half of your hosting duo. Joining me as always is my co-host Robyn, and also joining us on this episode is our friend Becky. Becky is a LARPer and plays in the Nation of Dawn in the game of Empire here in the UK. We discuss Becky's origins, how she got into LARP. Also, we all talk about finding our feet within the game of Empire. We also talk about some cool storylines that Becky has experienced while playing Empire. If you are watching us on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you're new to the Two Having to Roll channel. If you're listening to LARP Tales on an audio platform such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star review. Check out the Patreon if you so wish. And without further ado, let us get into our conversation with Becky. Hello everyone, welcome to the LARP Tales podcast. My name is Oliver. I am here with my co-host Robyn, and also joining us, we have Becky here with us. Thank you for coming on, Becky.
You're very welcome.
Right, Becky, first, have you listened to the podcast before? I haven't actually asked you that yet.
I hadn't, mainly because I'm a bit of a completionist. I've been listening to the same one podcast for the last 2-3 years, and I haven't quite caught up with it yet.
Yeah.
So I did have a few listens in the last week or so once I'd been asked, to make sure I'd got an understanding of what I put myself up for.
Nice. So you probably know my first question then, because this is what I ask everyone that comes on. So how did you first get into LARPing?
Well, it was actually a bit of an itch to scratch in the form of performing arts for me. So I did performing arts in college. I did a BTEC National. And I was sort of loving that. I sort of went and worked for Haven for a couple of years as fun star Becky. And
that's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, I did that for a couple of years. I sort of ended up selling out, working in corporate realms, and I joined an amateur dramatics group in my local town. Absolutely loved it, singing, dancing, acting, all of that. I moved to Manchester around COVID time, and I sort of lost my group that I used to perform with. I've not really been able to find anywhere since then. So sort of an ex of mine was like, I really want to go to LARP. He's done some tabletop role play, all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, sure, yeah, I can perform. Maybe that will scratch the itch. So yeah, that's how I got into LARP. Just after COVID, just came after the long dark.
Oh, and, so was Empire your first LARP?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're part of our generation of post-COVID Empire people. Yeah, I tell you what, like, I mean, we haven't really interacted much with our characters on the field, but I know for some reason I put you in that category of someone who was LARPing a lot longer than we were, you know?
Oh no, absolutely not. No, that was my first time. I'd never played D&D. I'd never done tabletop roleplay. I'd done none of it.
What the hell? That is really going into the deep end.
yeah, never done it by halves.
Yeah. So you went to it? Did you go to any player events, or was it just Empire straight away?
Just straight into Empire. We'd had some friends who sort of shown us how things worked and sort of how to put it together and what have you. So we'd had a couple of meetups just to discuss character and build and skills and things. But yeah, just sort of dove in with this character. Her name was Cecilia Deneau, because they sort of said, what do you want your last name to be? And I was like, I don't know.
I love it.
Yeah, so she after the first event she became Cecilia de Govan. I'm still very much around the house, but yeah, I didn't even have a last name. I built half a character and just went in to see what would happen, really, and that was that.
So you're still on your first character?
Yeah, technically, I sort of changed the last name to officialize it after E1. But yeah, I've always been Cecilia.
Wow. So what was the experience like then? Because I mean, we came from, like a lot of people did. We came from a like tabletop, and a lot of people that we speak to come from the acting background. And then, but if you hadn't come from like a gaming or a role play, what was it like going into like doing the whole role playing for the first time? Because I imagine it's pretty similar to what you would do in drama school anyway, right?
Yeah, to a degree. I mean, I was never particularly great at sort of improvisation, which is again like the whole premise of LARP is that it's all improvisation to a degree. But yeah, so I'm very much director. Tell me what to do. I'll read the script. Tell me where to go, and that was that.
Mm.
But yeah, obviously the improvisation is massive, and so trying to do that, for the entire day, for the entire weekend was a big deal. Again, I sort of come in the first event with my character had a bit of an accent. She was she was going to be sort of marcher who marched back to Dawn essentially, and she was a healer, she's a physic, and she was very sort of leaned into my West Country history and was like, all right, my lover, you got a work there, let me sort that out.
I love that concept.
How long did that last?
It was about an hour after time in.
Is that because you just picked up on the vibe of what? Because that's the thing with the although we try very hard like on this podcast trying to give people an idea of what it's like, you can't really, because there's no like film of it. You can't, until you actually jump in and do it, you don't really know what to expect, do you?
Yeah, this is it. And because of the idea that I had around being a physic, and I was like, oh, there's a hospital, great, I'll go to the hospital, I'll heal people up. I wasn't interested in fighting at all, didn't have a weapon, nothing to do with it. Was very much like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And all of my friends were like, that's fine. I'm sure there's loads of stuff to do at the hospital all the time. Like, we've never gone into it, but you'll be fine. Sort of dropped me off at time in. Obviously, there's no skirmishes, no fighting going out for at least a period of time. So I just sort of sat there like, okay, now what?
Oh, wow. So was that 2000, was that E1 2022?
Yes.
Yeah, because that was you know what, I don't know if you remember this, if you started off in the hospital, but it's amazing the difference now to what it was then, because I remember that first ever event, people were like literally coming to Dawn being like, we don't have enough of this skirmish, we need, like, please, we need people coming on the skirmish. Now people can't get on skirmishes.
yeah. I mean, there's been obviously a lot of changes since we've been doing it with the new Strategos.
Yeah, I can't pronounce it either. I see it written. You know what, Empire, there's a lot of things I see written, and then when I hear it for the first time, I'm like, oh, is that how it's...
That's how you're meant to say that.
Yeah, so yeah, back before they sort of had these unofficial skirmish marshals, and I think it's in the history before that, it was very much just jump on, see how it works, stand at the gate all day and hope you don't get bounced sort of thing. But I do think it works in circles to a degree. So you get somebody in to arrange it all and they do it really well. And then they have a few too many people turn up a few too many times. They get fed up of getting bounced and then they don't turn up. And then nobody turns up. And then we go back around again with needing someone to organize it. So
because it's a lot of effort, isn't it? Because you get girded up, and there, I mean, there are some people that literally they just stay girded all day and that's what they want to do is skirmish. And I kind of feel sorry for those people a little bit, because I feel like a couple of years ago you could just go there all weekend, just skirmish all weekend long. I feel like it's difficult to do that now,
Yeah, and also they again they changed. So before it was very much this skirmish is for, I believe it was a case, this skirmish is for Dawn, for example. Whereas now you've got people responsible for each individual skirmish. So you've got another middleman between making those arrangements, which makes it harder again. And then you have that whole sort of, if they're in charge of it, they want to put some of their mates on it. And why wouldn't you, to a degree? And so, yeah, it makes it more difficult again to get on those skirmishes one after the other, because you'd have to approach 10, 20, 30 people just to make sure you're on each of their individual skirmishes. So it's a lot harder. But I think on purpose, it makes the game more interesting, makes it something they have to play, which is good.
Well, yeah, because they've put an element of I think I said this a few episodes ago. I can't remember who we were talking to, but they put like an element of PvP into the skirmishes now, because I feel like it used to be like you said, where it used to be Dawn or this, that, the other. It was just like, oh, there's your PvE stuff where you can go out to the Sentinel Gate, and then the rest of it is PvP. But now it feels like they've put a PvP element of like, oh no, you can't just you might be able to just show up, but you know what? Either you need to go go speak to the person who's in charge of this, make friends with the person beforehand, as in, sessions beforehand, or be that person who's in charge of it, to get on these things,
And then even like when you're in charge of it, there's a lot of PvP when it comes to people coming up being like, no, I should be on the skirmish because of this is, linked to my family, and it's this and it's that and it's everything. And then you've got to be that person where you're like, I'm already 15 people over at this point, but now I feel like I need to bring this person on. So which of these people do I say, actually, off you go?
Yeah, this is it. And again, they've introduced rules more recently around sort of fining people or getting involved with magistrates if they gate jump, if they go through without permission from the person in charge, which I think, again, a really good idea.
Yeah.
I know one person, I think, that's been done for going through the gate.
Someone in our group last event, our group got slapped with a big old fine, and it was either pay up or execution. So that's a likely punishment for everyone who wants to gate jump. But I think it was. I'm not so sure how they, because I always thought when they brought that out that the the magistrates were there, or the refs were literally there watching who was gate jumping. But apparently, like, if people gate jump, but refs, if people don't say anything, then it's okay. They're just there to click the numbers, So I didn't realize it was you had to report the person to the magistrates for gate jumping, which has actually made some quite nice, cool PvP for our house as well. Because
so some really juicy PvP going on now. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of OC checks afterwards, but it creates some more game. But yeah, everyone is a very big fine, or so maybe keep that in mind.
Yeah, it's good, I guess. Like you say, if you've got people that you're checking in with, and it's all kind of safe and fun to play with, I'd imagine there's probably some cases where that's not the case, and they just wanted to fight, and now they're getting threatened with loads of money or executions. That might be a bit harsh. But I guess that's how they want to do it, and there's limited numbers, and you've got to get permission. It kind of makes sense on an OC and IC level, really, to me.
It also gave a lot of game as well, to the priest side of it as well, because there was a trial, and you had to be you had to have someone in there with them, didn't you? You were told. It was meant to be you originally.
I know what. Yeah, I got off with it because I'm a dedicant of loyalty, and because he basically he gate jumped because you're just basically, I'm the senator. I hope Mark doesn't mind me saying all this, by the way, but it makes sense, right? So he was like, I'm literally the senator of Weirwater. We're going to Weirwater. Literally, this is happening within near where our house is. I am going on this skirmish, So when he had to have a virtue defense, and I'm a dedicated loyalty, he was like, I kind of wanted a loyalty defense, but I was elsewhere, and so so Killian did it, and he's an ambition priest, so he did it from an ambition angle. I feel like he would have got hit with the fine regardless, to be honest, but
probably would have been double.
I quite like you said, the wisdom defense thing. I love the idea of these priests, sort of ambulance chasing priests running around. You had an accident, let me be your defense lawyer. I think it's an interesting bit of game. I've seen it happen. I've sort of been part of one as a witness to a virtue defense happen a while back. It's really interesting. So another fun bit of game for the priests, which is cool.
Yeah. I suppose it's weird because I guess the magistrates aren't player characters. You know what I mean? So I guess they come under more scrutiny because they're technically NPCs. I guess, are they technically NPCs? The people who surely they are, right?
I don't know. I don't know. I know the head of the magistrates is our Ollie Facey, isn't he? Our photographer.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if he gets classed in NPC world or not. I would assume so. Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, because if it's a priest that's inquisitioning you, what I mean, you just go, okay, well, this is just PvP with another player. But if it's an NPC that's just like, no, you're getting executed, you're just like, oh no, the game is out to get me.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. Almost certainly, yeah. I think they are sort of held separately, so that they're unbiased for that exact reason.
Yeah.
So you obviously started off in the hospital and things like that your first event. How much has Cecilia changed since then? Is she still interested in that part of the game, or has she gone elsewhere now?
Yeah, I mean, she's done a bit of everything now. She still does physicking, that sort of stuff. She's very much for a period of time she was bodyguard in a lot of ways. So when we go on the battlefield, we've got our sort of captains of the Winged Lions. So me and another character sort of played bodyguard and kept them safe. And Cecilia sort of goes out with a sword, but she doesn't have anything in her other hand, so she can pull people out and things like that. She's got a lot of herbs, a lot of potions. So yeah, very much definitely enjoyed all the battling. That was something that I decided quite early on I wasn't going to do, and then immediately changed my mind and realised how great it was.
So on that first event, was it the big battle, or did you go on a skirmish on the Friday?
So yeah, I think it was the second day, maybe the big battle. Yeah, whatever the second day was, whether it was monstering or battling, I'm not sure.
It was. I think it was battling because
I think it was battling
that
first
event, and it was that one that we went through against. I think it was the Jotun, and it was like a hot gate. We went through, and it was straight away. It was action, and that was one of the things that like hooked me in this hobby. Was just like, whoa, this is crazy.
Yeah, well remembered. I'm terrible with remembering what was what, but yeah, I do remember because I didn't have any armor, didn't have any weapons, whatever. And the house was brilliant. We had somebody in the house who still does provide armor for people that are new players, things like that, which is brilliant. And so I remember going out in this beautiful like scale mail armor, absolutely gorgeous armor, and people being like, "Oh, where did you get that?" And I'm like, "Borrowed it." Like sort of advertising their armor for them, just walking around, which is quite nice. And yeah, very much fell in love with it and was like, let's go on every skirmish, let's go on every fight. And so yeah, she definitely got more into the fighting from there. So by the time we reached E2, I'd sort of rewritten the backstory a little bit to be a bit more, yeah, she does have a ruck every now and then.
That's the best way. First character, don't bother writing backstories, wait until you know what the character is. I didn't write a backstory for my first character. I think it was a basic one that kind of intertwined mine and Robyn's character, but I didn't really decide anything until I got there. You know, I kind of wanted to be a little more of a blank slate and just wait and see what was going to happen. So
yeah, well, I was very much the same. Sort of, yeah, that initial one, we sort of created some idea of this march in, march back, that sort of stuff. Whereas Cecilia de Govan, a lot of to cover the fact that I didn't know a lot of what I was doing, because obviously new player, she was interested in spy activities. Cecilia is actually a very good spy.
I like that as like a mechanic, like for like just coming in not being too sure. Like it gives you the perfect excuse of just being like, no, I'm just here, just listening.
Yeah, exactly that. It covers a multitude of sins because, again, you know, what's your backstory? How did you come here? Oh, well, that's all redacted. I don't talk about that. You wouldn't know. I can't possibly say. And then if anybody else talks to you and is like, do you know about this thing with the Valorn and the Druge and the blah, 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 and you don't know, you just go, well, of course I know. I'm a spy. I know lots of things, but why don't you tell me what you know and let's see if it matches up?
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah. Did you find the play? I mean, that was a. I obviously get the feeling there was a lot of new players at that kind of 2022 thing. But did you find that a lot of the people that you were playing with were quite sympathetic to kind of your role play? Because a lot of people who want to come to Empire ask me, and they're like, "Oh, I'm anxious," and they're very afraid of people coming to being like, "What's your backstory? What do you know about this?" But that wasn't my experience at all at Empire. I found that everybody was extremely just like sympathetic. If you just went, "Oh yeah, I don't know about that, why don't you tell me?" And then they would like bring you into the conversation instead of going, "Oh, let me tell you what you don't know," type thing.
Yeah, very much so. You get the odd person that's like, well, if you're getting involved in this thing, then you really should know blah blah and blah, and you're like, yeah, all right, I'm trying here. Give me a chance. But most of the time, you use the magic words, "I'm new to Anvil," and everybody helps you out, and you know, we'll give you things and explain things to you. They're all pretty patient, like you say. I've had fairly good experiences over the years.
I really wish I could still use the "I'm new to Anvil" thing. I think there was a couple of times, even last event, I was just like, wait, what? I'm new to Anvil? Please. But you find yourself in these positions like, right, I've been playing this game for like 2.5 years now. I probably should know what that is, you know? It still happens to me. I mean, I'm assuming it's the same for you, so.
Yeah, I mean, particularly in House to Go Round, because it's such an old house. Like, it's one of the OG houses back in the day. And so it's had a multitude of players going through it, in and out, and various stories and what have you. So people come to the house being like, we're looking for this thing and that thing, and we know that 10 years ago it came through your house or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know. Yeah,
It's like that sort of like feeling of like, I don't know, I guess you can have a look upstairs or something that might be lying around.
Exactly. Yeah. Like maybe talk to. There's like one or two players that they aren't the same characters as they were, but they've been there since the start. So we do have the history sort of available. So again, you sort of go to one of them. What's this thing about that sword and that guy and the other thing? And they'll explain it to you quickly. But again, it's just so much history. There's so much story in Empire that it's impossible, more or less, to know it all. So,
and being part of one of those groups as well, like you said, that has that history. I guess you've got people on, like you say, on tap that have a lot of knowledge there anyway. Because like it's very rare, even though our game with House of Gavain there's not been too much. We always hear like, oh yeah, the Gavains have done this, or this is happening, or something about a skull, or something this, and you're like, oh, something with this, something with this Eternal. So it's always fun to hear what other people are getting up to. But yeah, the Gavains are usually one of the names that pop up quite often.
That's it. We like to keep ourselves in mischief. We don't really have official house words, but the unofficial house words are consequences, schmonsequences.
I like that. I
love that.
think that should be on a banner. I think.
I'm working it out. I'm trying to convince them they're not having it, but it feels that way. That's for sure.
Yeah,
it really does actually, because every time I hear about something, like Oliver said, like something that Gavain have done, I'm just like, oh yeah, of course they've done that, because they seem to just get up to all sorts of shenanigans, but in the most terrifying way. I don't think I've ever confidently walked up to that house tent before, because it's just, I always feel like there's they're up to something all the time, and it's just. I think our house recently had something tied in with something, and I was like, oh, well, someone's gonna have to go and speak to Gavans. I'm like, it's not me. One of you need to go speak to them.
Oh yeah, that was
scary.
That was the Jaehaerys stuff, wasn't it? Was it the Jaehaerys stuff?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's quite cool because like they have these storylines that intertwine, because we're more kind of wintry stuff, and I think you guys are more like summery stuff. And it was basically Jaehaerys was trying to get in on some weird storyline that our house is entangled in, and they kind of cross. There's been a couple of those as well, because last year we ended up in a load of Siaka trouble, when we didn't mean to. So that's always quite fun though, when you accidentally come across these things, and people's storylines just kind of cross each other briefly. I think that's really cool when that happens.
Yeah, for sure. That was an interesting one, because it was around the sort of Edric skull thing that had been running along for a while, and we were still very much on the hunt for said skull. And so, when Jaehaerys had arranged the plenipotentiary and it sort of suggested your house should come along, we were like, are they involved? What does this mean? Why is this happening?
I mean, we've got so many skulls lying around. It might be one of them.
Yeah. But I think, to be honest,
under each of them,
I think we said the same thing. I think we were just like, are we involved in this?
It was the way we're sitting there and we're like reading it out and everything. We have like a little like house meeting at the start, and there was something read out, and there was a look between us all being like, do we have it? Has anyone looked in the box? It's like, do we have it?
At the back of the sofa, is it there? Just
does this pro bone match?
has that storyline resolved, or is it still ongoing, the whole skull thing?
It has resolved. It's well, as much as anything resolved itself without us stirring it back up again. As part of that plenipotentiary, Jaehaerys sort of said, "'Tis I who has the skull, and you have to do a tourney basically against a bunch of my men who are all sort of got boons and skilled up to the nines. You have to go and do this tourney, and if you win, then you get the skull back." So in the next day of that event, where we saw Jaehaerys, we went out with a group of us and completed the tourney. So we got the skull, and then this last event just gone, we met with Venator, who's the guy that I did the deal with initially. He's a herald of, I think technically Eleonaris, but he was one of Hayak's boys basically.
Right, I see. Yeah. And
so we sort of gave the skull to him. It was a brilliant sort of EastEnders moment, I can describe it. So go to this plenny, we hand him the skull, and he's like, "Yeah, brilliant, this is great. Hayak, sort of calls for Hayek. We'll turn around, and out comes Hayek as well.
Oh, actual Hayek. That's pretty badass. Did you have an interest in like the Eternal and Magic game before you like started, or did you just like stumble into it because of the group you're in?
Technically, the reason I got so involved in this is to do with love, as most things are in Dawn.
Yes.
So my true love is Lady Griffensbane, one of the Ogre. So her in character, this obviously all is her ex-boyfriend in character was Edric de Govan.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Little known facts around House de Govan and the Griffensbane. Yeah, so he was completing his Test of Ardour for Lady Griffensbane when he died.
Right.
And it wasn't related to the test, but he just happened to die, never completed it, and that was that. So obviously years pass, I turn up, sort of decide that I'm going to have this romance with Lady Griffensbane, and I hear that Edric de Govan's her ex. We have this big feast that happened in our house, and Edric de Govan turns up, which is miraculous given that he's dead.
Yeah.
By way of some girding nonsense.
Girding, yeah. Yeah.
And so Cecilia meets Edric de Govan, Lady Griffensbane's ex, and there's lots of sort of animosity between them. They're very, lots of jealousy, all of that sort of stuff. So when Hayek eventually turned around and was like, I'm very angry, that's what enraged him to saying that he wanted the skull of Edric de Govan. When he said that, I was like, fine, no worries. I'll go down to the family crypt. I'll dig him up. I don't care. He's been horrible to me. That's how I found myself in the middle of this massive plot in the Summer Realm, where I was on the hunt for Edric's head, and did this deal with Venator and
where was it in the end? Where was it in several? Like, did you have to hunt it down? Was that the thing? Because again, I've just heard. I think I saw one wins about this, and I've heard like kind of out of character sort of half discussions as well on the field, but I don't know the full story of what actually happened here.
Yeah, so as far as historically we knew, Edric had been buried in the family crypt of House de Govan, so his bones were there, no problem. So Hayek turns around and says, I want the skull of Edric. So I decide via PD I'm going to go down to the family crypt and I'm going to dig up the bones, much to my family's dismay, and de Govan's been like, there's absolutely no way we should do that. So Cecilia did it in secret because spy. And so when she got there, the crypt had been ransacked, and this was like one of the little mini skirmishes. What do they call it? Like a plot tent.
The encounter tent.
Yeah, there we go.
Encounter tent. That's it. Yeah. So yeah, we sort of turn up, and these big rocks have been pushed upon our poor gardener, and so the gardener's sort of dying, saying these Black Knights turned up. They were talking about Jaehaerys and the Forest of Arden. They took all of the bones of Edric de Govan. They ran off. So
hang on. So you had an NPC playing House de Govan's gardener?
Yes, we did.
Oh, that is so cool. It's so cool.
Yeah, playing Elaine de Govan, played by Steve Kirkbride, I believe.
Oh, nice. I love that.
Yeah, it was beautiful, because again, I hadn't really done anything like that before, never been to an encounter tent or anything. So yeah, from my just silliness of deciding I'm going to dig up these bones, we ended up getting this amazing plot given to us. And so yeah, off we went on the hunt for these bones. But because they were Black Knights, we were very much like, well, they must be Dornish then. So must be someone in Dorne who's got it, who's related to Jaehaerys, lots of finger pointing and accusations. And,
it's quite easy. Just like, where do I point? Right next door.
No wonder.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, we sort of start the mission to find it, but we've got very little to go on. So over the next couple of seasons, it's essentially rituals and spells and anything we can do to ask any other Eternals, do you know where these bones are? Can we get some evidence of where the bones are? So yeah, we do that a few times. We're getting hardly anything back. We're getting lots of wibbly messages that don't make any sense. Sort of, why are you looking for Edric? He was at a feast not long ago. He's not dead.
Oh, really?
Like, no, he's definitely dead. So we made our own mess in that sense. And so, yeah, eventually Jaehaerys showed himself and sort of said, yep, 'twas I've got the bones. And so we did that tourney, and it all sort of came about in the end. But but we had some really nice moments with Kaz, who plays the Night Protector of Summer.
Yeah.
Because again, one of the potential culprits who might have had it could have been House de Rondel. They've got lots of ties with Jaehaerys. So yeah, there's these lovely moments with Cass where they were trying to get into the plenipotentiaries, and Cecilia being like, Cass and Ridian, you can't, you might be involved in this. Can you honestly say for certain that your house isn't involved? There's other groups within groups in your house. Are you certain that no one's got it? And they were very much like, yeah.
This is me in character. No, you couldn't.
They were as certain as they could be, but yeah, there's always that uncertainty because you're never quite sure, are you, if anyone's, with anything.
Well, especially for good people who don't maybe know a lot about Jaehaerys. Jaehaerys is like a patron of like betrayal in that as well, isn't he? So it's a little bit take what you hear with a pinch of salt type thing, right?
Exactly, yeah. So there was this nice moment of me sort of standing at the gate being like, you can't go through, but I promise you, if I learn that it has nothing to do with you, then I promise I will share all the information and we will work together. And they sort of begrudgingly agreed. We have this handshake and it's all great. And sort of go along to this plenty, realise it's Jaehaerys all along and that none of the houses had any involvement in Dawn. So sort of go back and make my humble apologies and sort of vowed to work together, and Ridian came on the tourney and sort of helped to defeat them to get the skull back, and was there with Hayek and Venator, all of that sort of stuff. So it was a real nice sort of full circle story of uncertainty and forging friendships and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it was a good happy ending.
Yeah. So how long was that story arc going on for? I feel like it was going on for a while, right? It was like a year and a half, something like that. Yeah,
about a year, give or take. It sort of started, although the searching for the head stuff, that was probably over a year ago, but a lot of the finding the head stuff sort of kicked off when Venator started hunting down Yo-folk. But he had the wrong Yo-folk. They just happened to be wearing orange and black, which is our Yo-folk in Dagovan colours.
Right.
It wasn't even our Yo-folk. They were just hunting random people who were wearing orange and black, which is quite funny. And so, yeah, we took out, I felt quite bad, but I paid it all back to them. We took out about 60 soldiers, people coming to fight knights and whatever, all in all their heavy armour and everything, boiling hot sunshine on this day. Basically take them all out, ready for a fight. And instead of a fight, I just end up doing this negotiation with Venator and a handshake.
Oh, I heard about this. I actually did. Yeah, I remember now. I remember hearing about this.
Like, yeah, we don't have to fight. Isn't that great? And I see everyone being like, yeah, thank goodness. I like the same. And OC being like, I really wanted to fight. And I just lost it.
I came here with so much scop's meat to fight.
I did feel a bit bad, but we did. We had a couple of other fights, like the tourney and things like that, as a result of it. So everybody that missed out that time got sort of first refusal on the next one, which made it a bit more fair. So luckily, they were nice about it.
Yeah.
Oh god, that is absolutely incredible. I heard so much about this storyline, like little snippets and everything. I had no idea that you started it. Pretty much, I had no idea that's where it all kind of came from. That is absolutely incredible. And then, so now that you've got the skull and that's all sorted out and everything, what then happens with Lady Griffensbane? Like, what happened with? Because I heard little bits throughout the field of what was happening, but I've never known actually what happened.
Yeah, I mean, she's Edric's dead, so she knows that. She was very confused when Edric turned up to this feast and what have you, but she was obviously angry when she'd heard that I tried to dig up the bones. But at the end of it, jealous girlfriend, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Yeah.
Cecilia's
things
very
that
jealous.
love make you do.
Exactly, yeah. That's true love, that is. So yeah, when we gave the skull to Hayek, he gave it back at the end. He was like, I just wanted to basically know that he could have it, basically. So he handed it back to us, which meant that we can now bury it again and put it back to its rightful place. So Lady Griffensbane's happy enough. And we have this long Test of Ardour that's due to finish at the next summit, which she sort of set for me one of the stages of it involves sort of freeborn contract, essentially a marriage contract.
Oh, they're fun. Yeah. I've had game with those. Yeah.
That's it. One of the clauses is essentially, aside from Edric to Govan, Cecilia promises not to dig up any more bones of Lady Griffin-Spain's ex. I'm going to try and keep that promise. Otherwise, I'll be in big.
You could try.
That's interesting then, because like obviously you don't have to divulge any role play, because obviously like Lady Griffin-Spain is an egregore, right? So she would be 100% certain that a Dornish citizen is dead. Like, there's no way, even if you went, oh yeah, Edric was there, she'd be like, no, because I would know about it, type thing, you know.
That's it. It's the wibbly wonders of girding, and sort of knowing but not knowing, and how to role play that out. But she was very much like, it's a chance to say hello and goodbye and closure and all that sort of thing. But it's you're the one I love, you're the one I want to be with, sort of thing. Yeah. So it's very nice to have those little romance plot points with Keely as well.
Oh yeah, no, I absolutely love Keely. Like, I've not had a lot of game there, but last game is when I ended up sitting down and chatting with Keely and everything, and being like, oh, it's the first time I've actually sat down and chatted with you and just enjoyed a drink and some music and things. And yeah, that was when I think our houses are slowly, I would love to have some more things with our houses together and stuff. Dagobah and Mortar. At the minute, I just have your kids. Like,
oh yeah, no, we have plenty of.
Kids as well. You were saying, you don't have much dealings with the house, but you've got the two biggest troublemakers out of the lot coming around your place.
Oh yeah, no, we have connections. We always have connections with every house.
But, I was well put out because part of her Test of Ardour, Cecilia's got to create these sort of Ilium bond rings. So it's lots of money, lots of thrones. And so when I'd heard that the kids have been helping you out, and I think they've made you like 20 thrones for the last summit. Don't
tell anyone.
Edit it out if you like.
I'm just going to divulge that we do a 50-50 split. Yeah. They got the better deal here.
No, I'm being tongue in cheek, because like we play. I don't know how you play it, Becky, but like we are terrible nobles who are constantly costing the house money, and then we actually do have a bit ourselves, so we get it in the ear a lot, being like, you've taken this out the house thing. I'm like, oh, I don't know, I don't have any money, when we have a little bit.
We're very similar. We're fortunate or unfortunate enough to have the wine bar next door to our tent, which is like 5 thrones a bottle or something ridiculous. And
really?
So yeah, we've been caught out a few times, because we get on really well with the Cordracos and Giuliano, and Hortensia and Emblyn, who are all sort of placed around there. Yeah. And so we want to drink with them, we want to enjoy time with them, but we just literally can't afford to drink with them.
Yeah.
It's just so convenient, though.
It is convenient.
Right? It's right there.
You could just stagger there and then stagger home.
And the sea wolves are usually hanging about as well, which we get on really well with. So again, you sort of ask for a favour, friend to friend, sea wolf to the Govan, and then you get hit with a big bill at the end of it. Sort of like, oh, speak to my seneschals, that'll be fine.
Yeah, we've been making a bad habit of doing that, haven't we?
Our poor yo folk in our house. That last event, I think, almost crippled us, because like it was when we ended up being like, we had the big fine. And then we had the big party and everything. And then
party, open bar, wasn't it?
Open bar, yeah. Spending money
bar.
we don't have. Yeah. That's how we play this game. We spend money we don't have.
Why not?
I owe so many favors.
Yeah, so Giuliano will not forget if you owe some money. You'll be in big trouble there.
Yeah,
I think at this point we just saw our yo folk. At this point, they're just like, look, we need this, we need that, and they're still talking about a sword that Damon got like 2 events ago.
Well, yeah, basically,
fine.
Yeah, we were basically we were about to get a reckoning from the Reapers for not paying their mercenary. Bill and I was like, oh no, and I said to the house, by the way, we might be getting a reckoning, and the house like panicked. I was like, we need to gather up all this money, like we need like however much it was, we need like 7 thrones in like 2 hours or something.
Yeah, it was like 15 thrones. I need like 7 more.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I was like, oh yeah, okay, we'll help. We'll go up here, and I've got some stuff that I can trade. Meanwhile, I'm like spending 7 thrones on a woodcutter's axe at the same time.
Like at the same moment, we were like, we need 7 thrones, or we're going to have this reckoning. He's like, yeah, of course. There was those 7 thrones for that.
I was just taking advantage of everyone being so proactive, and they're being like, they're like, oh, what else do we need? And I'm like, some welt silver. Oh yeah, welt silver. And I'm like, cool, thank you.
Yeah, I've been very similar with the fundraising and what have you. Sort of spent a bit of time sort of raising the funds and what have you, and getting more and more desperate as the time goes on. Because say a year to make, it's essentially around 20. No, it's more than that. It's like 45 thrones, something like that, to make.
Yeah, so what are they? So what type of magic? I'm assuming they're a magic item, right?
Yeah, the Ilium bond rings.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll form the sort of the wedding rings essentially for it, but because they're a permanent item, it costs a lot of money to make.
What, like
the Ilium and that sort of stuff.
Oh, right. Okay. So yeah, to make it like a permanent magic item that doesn't run out.
Exactly. Yeah. So like the bond rings themselves, we've sort of got them out of the Arbour of the Twin Roses, which again, nice romantic love story place that we've got them from. Which is nice. But yeah, to make them sort of permanent, whatever, you've got to get a load of Ilium. Don't ask me how much, I can't remember. But yeah, you've got to make a load of money, buy a load of Ilium, and then sort of presumably infuse it in some magic way to make it a permanent item. But in the end, Cecilia's done it in a slightly different way to get not only the rings but a very cool item out of it as well, which will be loads of fun in the field. So
do you know what they do, like mechanically, what they actually do? Or
I can't remember. I think they're linked together. I think so. It's something like a stay with me or something like that. If you're in the field with the other person, or like a get it together or something like that. I think.
That's so cool.
That's so beautiful.
That's way too expensive for that effect, but yeah, that's really cool.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a lot for that. But yeah, so I've sort of done that in a way, and then I'm going to create a different item out of it instead.
Right. Yeah.
But the other item costs a bit more, which meant I had to make more money. So again, Cecilia's just been coming up with more ridiculous ways to make cash. Like I just sort of did a shot bar selling shots for love, getting people drunk in the name of love. It's always a good way to go. There's a slightly, it's more than slightly risque illustration of Captain Charge that went around on auction as well.
Nice. Yeah.
I like that.
I hope someone has a decent collection. I'm surprised no one has actually opened like a library, to be honest, because there's that much of it going around.
I now know from my research of trying to sell this thing, it's all very hush-hush behind the curtain, I believe. But Giuliano's wine bar has got a few portraits and pictures and things, and now Giuliano is charging, I think, like £2 to show this picture to anyone who wants to see it. So I just keep getting money handed to me throughout the event, which is quite funny.
That's cool. I like that. That's sort of, Plus, it fits in with where Cecilia came from with the whole spy background and things like that. The fact that she would do things that are a little bit more secretive and just like slowly gain this money. No one knows where it's coming from.
Yeah. Anything ridiculous that the house would not agree to, she'll go and do it. So,
I mean, if all else fails, she's pretty good at digging up bones, so there's maybe some money there.
Archaeologist in another life, wasn't it?
There we go.
It's amazing what you can actually do in the game, because you can, because initially you go, right, I need to make money, so that your initial thought goes to trading. But I think we've definitely proved, Robyn, especially Robyn, like you're very good at just managing to whip up resources from nothing. Just being like, okay, I'll just go, I'll go ask nicely these people and these people and these people, and it's amazing what you can do.
I took a new player around with me last time who they're quite new, and they're doing something for a really good cause, and they needed some resources for poor. So we just went and we asked nicely to a few big groups who I knew had stuff. We gathered everything. And they were just there, like, there we go, there's everything, no cost at all, no favor zone, nothing. It was like the power of I moved to Anvil and I'm really looking for this. I was like, in the future it might come back to bite you, but right now you've got what you need.
Oh, that's the fun bit. That's the fun bit. You go up to some group and you're just like, hey, I need some mana, or do you have some potions? And they're like, yeah, here you go. Here's some potions. And you're just like, I know that's going to come back one day. I'm going to be asked for something. It's like some mafia movie or something. You're like, oh cool.
It was like with Aranel, it was that's how the Durandal sweeped her up straight away. Brand new player. They gave me this potion. I just walked in and they've given me this and they've asked this and they're just so lovely. In the next event, they've asked me to do something. I feel like I should probably do it. I was like, wait a minute.
It comes to senatorial voting time and they're the first ones at your door,
Exactly,
yeah.
She's been, again, because you come from this house that's quite well known, it's got very good seneschals, very good traders in the house and what have you. But that does not mean that they will give us anything for nothing. So it's very much sort of go out and figure out for yourself. If you need a loan, they generally will help you out, but you're expected to pay these things back and pay into the house like anyone would. And so, one of the fun things I get to do, it's sort of under the guise of making money, but it's mainly just because I want to do it. Like Cecilia puts on plays. Cecilia loves a play.
You've done this. You've done this a couple of times, right? And I haven't seen any of them. Yeah. How have they gone?
Yeah, they've been pretty good. Again, it's that amateur dramatics. I want to do a little bit more in terms of performance because LARP isn't enough. I want to do a play within a play within a play. And so, the first one was a play sort of telling the story of how me and Lady Griffonsbane became a couple. And all the sort of funny things that happened as a result of that. And then this last one that I did at the last summit was about Eduardo the Toad. Don't know if you guys have encountered Eduardo the Toad yet.
No. Regale us the tale of Eduardo the Toad.
Yeah, that's it. I'll have to redo the whole play. No,
it's fine. We've got time. Go for it.
It's fine. Anyway, act one.
Eduardo is a toad that sits in Giuliano's wine bar. So there is a fair amount of history that goes to this, but the quick version is it starts in Match Made in Savos. So Cecilia went on like a dating event at Match Made in Savos.
It was a player event, right? Yeah.
Yeah, player event. And so Cecilia got put on a date with Case, who's Liga. Case is a character who walks around with Derek the puppet. Don't know if you've seen Derek.
Oh yeah.
Right, so that was Cecilia's first date, which went horribly bad, all that sort of stuff, very funny. But Derek also needed a date, so Derek got set up with Eduardo the Toad. It's just this plastic toad. That's all it is, a garden decoration.
I love it.
That was it. No more, no less. And it just sort of has, again, it's just great role play between Cal and the house and what have you, and just building it and turning it up to 11 slowly. Of Eduardo is actually very angry at Cecilia, and Eduardo goes around biting people and stealing stuff. And if you go to Giuliano's, ask to speak to Eduardo, and he'll probably try and attack you. He's a horrible git.
We will 100% be doing that.
His mother now attends Anvil as well. There's a second toad that's come along who's got like painted nails and eyelashes. She's gorgeous.
Oh my god!
It's amazing how these things they like people latch onto them. And like in our house, it was the ceramic elephant that we had, and then all this lore suddenly, like nobody's backstories is fully fleshed out, but this elephant, this inanimate object, has more lore and backstory than everybody in the group.
Exactly. Yeah, that is Eduardo down to a T. It's the play basically chronicled him from a tadpole right up to where he is now and what will he do next sort of thing. People are loving it. They're asking for another installment of Toda Non Grata, as we call the play.
So are they just one-off these plays then? Or are they just like one and done, or do you redo them at different events?
No, it's just been one and done. Just been a fun little thing that I just do because I like it, and the people that were acting in it and what have you absolutely love doing it. And we're like, when are you going to do another one? And the audience seemed to really enjoy it, and so it just became a fun little thing that Cecilia does.
I saw the first one, and the first one was absolutely amazing. You go to
something without me.
You were doing something else, but I literally think I watched it with like, who was I met? We all dragged chairs and everything. We were sitting watching from the side. I think the reason I actually ended up coming in to watch it was actually because somebody come to me earlier in that day, being like, do you have any roses spare? We need a rose for something tonight. We need it now. And I was like, oh yeah, here's a rose. And they told us all about it. And I was like, I want to go see a play. Where's this play happening? And that was incredible. I missed the one this time, but does that mean you're planning another one?
I have to do another one. This next one is forced upon me. By my true love. She's again, one of the 7 stages. The final stage of the Test of Ardour is that I have to write a play chronicling every stage of the Test of Ardour, what I did to complete it, and if at the end Lady Griffithsbane agrees that I've worked hard enough and completed it all, then she will agree to marry, and if I haven't, she will reject me horribly in the Glory Square.
Oh wow.
So it's the big
one.
One.
Win-win either way, actually. That feels like a cool story either way.
Exactly, yeah. I'm down either way. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, it's got to be the ultimate test as well if it's coming from the egregore. It's like is a true Dornish Test of Ardour. So where do you usually do is it in Dawn Camp or is it in the League Theatre or?
Yeah, just in the Glory Square. Yeah. Just about managed to get it out in between rainfall last time. A very soggy script. We just about managed it. But yeah, no, it's another one will happen probably I think before the Glory Gala, whenever, probably 6-7 o'clock on a Saturday is when I usually do it. So sort of do auditions on the Friday. And then, which is just a very basic, do you want to be in this? Okay, I think you'll be good for this part. Here's the script. Off you go.
Yes, go. Are you going to show up? Yes, okay, done. You have the role. Go.
It's that simple, yeah.
Are you skirmishing at 7 o'clock tomorrow? No? Come on then.
It's nice. There's been a few similar faces that have come up for the last 2 now, and there's a few leaguers that come across that have, not got enough plays in the league. They want to come and see what the Dornish offering is. It's just lovely. But yeah, no, it is great. It does. Again, it's that performance. It's scratching an itch thing, and getting to bow and having a clap and a bit of applause and what have you. It just makes me very, very happy. So yeah, it's nice to do it in LARP.
Yeah. So. Last time as well, you did some stuff with the Academy, didn't you, last time? I remember seeing online that you were up to something with the Academy. So the Academy is something I've been desperate to get involved with them, but I've got no idea how they work or what happens there. But I saw that you were doing, was it a workshop you were doing? What was it you were doing with them?
Yeah, so again, this mythical Test of Ardour.
Always do your test. No.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, honestly, it gets me. It's the truth. I've been very lucky to have a test from the egregore. Again, when I was a new player in the first year, because obviously it's been running on for at least a year now, a fairly new player was looking for an interesting plot and game to do, and sort of got talking with Keely, who was like, I haven't had a romance bit in a long time. And I was like, well, I'm new. Why don't should we have a crack at it and see how we get on?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So I was very lucky as a new player to get sort of an egregore test, which again, it's supposed to be more challenging, or it's supposed to be pretty challenging by comparison to others, because you're dating the whole nation. So,
yeah. Well.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah.
The whole nation. So yeah, one of the stages of the test is that I had to teach a class at the Academy. Because again, the egregores, they're encouraging you to get around different areas and introduce yourself to new parts of the game. So again, somewhere that I probably wouldn't have had much dealing with. And so yeah, got in touch with them. Was sort of like, what would Cecilia do? She's really good at physicking and herbs and things like that. So I sort of came up with this 15-20 minute lesson on all of the different 5 herbs, what they do, what they treat, and then sort of got the kids practicing using the herbs. But obviously we needed a target to use them on. So I brought in my my captain in charge to come along and be a punch bag for everyone, basically.
Yeah, that's what he's good for.
Yeah.
Please tell me you gave him no information beforehand. Please tell me you just said, come over to the Academy with me. Right, go.
Well, the thing is that the kids are one thing, but the amount of adults you'll have seen on the poster and that sort of stuff, all the adults commenting on it, being like, I don't have any kids, but any chance? That's my next money-making scheme. If I get really desperate, I'll just stand Captain Charge in the Glory Square and just pay a couple of crowns to beat them up one at a time in a big queue. See how much money I make.
It doesn't even have to be weapons. I think if you gave everybody, like, I don't know what the icy equivalent of a water balloon would be, but you could probably have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, they do that in the marches with the
Yeah, they do.
what do you call it, with the stocks and that, and they were charging people a couple of years ago, I think, for throwing sponges at people, you know. So
it keeps their senators humble or something like that, doesn't it? I think.
yeah, I know he wants to throw a sponge at a senator. It's for love.
It's for love.
Well, if it's for love.
I can make him do a fair amount of ridiculous things in the name of love can be done. So yeah, that might be another plan. But the kids absolutely loved it. It was a great thing to be able to do. And Blake, Captain Charge's sister, came along with her daughter, this lovely little 2-year-old. I don't know if you saw her walking around. She's adorable.
Yeah, she was in the camp with you this time, wasn't she?
Yeah.
I did spot her. She's like the cutest little thing.
She is in a tiny little yo-folk tabard, just sort of stumbling about in our wellies. She makes my heart ache. But yeah, we had kids, and obviously we got the kids in the house came along, so we had quite a decent group who all came along just to beat up Captain Charge, but they did learn something as well, so that was nice that they all came away learning all their herbs.
Did they try to heal him afterwards, or?
Yeah.
I know, I like the idea. Now it's time to use the herbs. And they're like, herbs? What?
But the problem was I dedicated maybe 5 or 6 herbs to the lesson and was like, that's fine, I'm going to use these to show them. I'll get one kid to do a venom or pretend a traumatic wound, etc., etc. So I had those squared away. And then as soon as I was like, right, we've got 5 minutes left, go to town, go beat him up, they were like, give me some herbs. Like, I'm not wasting my entire set of herbs on children just beating him up and healing him up again. Let's just pretend, shall we?
That's layers to that. Yeah, let's pretend to pretend.
We're pretending to be pretending.
Yeah, no, the kids are fantastic, aren't they? At Empire, they really, because that's the thing. Even though it's not it is. I know it's one awards Empire for like family event. But yeah, like I very much appreciate how like it is an adult environment, and I wouldn't want them to change that. But the people that are willing to bring their kids and the kids like really get into it as well, they make the world so much richer and so much easier to immerse yourself in. And like you said, like it's adorable when you see like the little kids and people have gone all out on their little marcher kit, or their little. I'm pretty sure I saw it like a little Urzeni this event, and it was like a beautiful little kind of robe that they had on. It was only a toddler, and I was just like, that is adorable.
Yeah, we've been lucky that I think we've had a couple of new people come into the house recently, and they've got kids as well. So last event, it was just run amok with children and House to Go van everywhere. But yeah, like you say, it's lovely. It sets that environment so well, and they learn. You get the initial sort of calling you the wrong name and OC name. It's supposed to be an icy name, that sort of thing. But they pick it up so quickly, and yeah, they learn what's going on far better than I do in most cases. So, yeah, they really do make the house so much more wholesome and lovely and immersive.
The things that the kids do, honestly, like if I am struggling with things, I will ask them, because the kids have just got so much knowledge. But it's the little things they do, like together, which is just so beautiful. When Aranelle died, I found out the kids got together and had a funeral for her. In the oh my gosh, what's it called? The Weaver's Rest. Yeah, they got together and had a funeral for Aranelle, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't anymore. I was just like, but then again, like you said, you come with a new character, and instantly they've got your new name. They're all ready. They make a couple little mistakes, and then they're off they go. And I'm just like,
yeah, incredible. One of the girls, she joined the play as well. She was the young Eduardo, like baby Ed, the Toad. She was absolutely brilliant in it. You can't tell them that they are phenomenal for what they do, and so they're cute, so they make more money than I do, which is annoying. But they're pretty, as long as they give me a cut, I don't mind.
Yeah, they can sell anything. They can sell. It's actually quite crazy what they can sell. They're quite forceful with it as well.
Yeah,
they're brutal.
One of them, she learned she's now a yo-folk of the house because she realised that if she became a yo-folk, if she became a noble, she became a questing knight.
Right, yeah.
Terminology. Came to testing knight so that she could eventually become a noble because she realised that her parents are yo-folk and so she could boss them around, which is brilliant. But also she didn't realise that as part of being a questing knight and sort of being a yo-folk of the house and what have you, we would get to boss her around more so than we had done before. So we were immediately like, fine, yes, you can have a test, we'll work on that. In the meantime, go fetch me a drink. Very impressed.
I like that.
Yeah, it's funny, like the yo-folk noble thing, that because we're the only nation that has like a class system, and I think I take it for granted because I've only ever played in Dawn. Sometimes I forget that all the other nations don't have that type of thing. I've very rarely is there issues coming up with that. I know, like, there's, you know, in this game, like, yeah, there's PvP issues sometimes, there's bleed and things like that. I very rarely do I hear an issue with like nobles just mistreating yo-folk, you know. I don't know whether that's just me or whether I haven't seen it.
No, for sure. Yeah, no, in my house, again, part of Cecilia's backstory, there was another character who came in a bit later, so we sort of intertwined those backstories, so he had a reason to be in the house. He'd been playing before, his character died, so he came back in. So I'm like, oh yes, we came from the home together. And he's always, Jean has always been Cecilia's sort of yo-folk, has always been there for Cecilia. She's always been a noble for a long, long time. He's been a yo-folk. And he plays it beautifully, like this exasperated, yes, my lady, and oh, I'm going to fetch another thing, and of course I'll gird you, and oh, I need to pay for that, do I? All right, okay. But yeah, he does it so brilliantly, and yeah, there's only love around it, and we know where the lines are. We don't need to do lots of checkers and things. He just gets it, and he knows what he's playing, and yeah, I love that. I've seen that a lot around the field of people deciding we're going to play a yo-folk and really leaning into that, which is nice to see.
Yeah, you got to be sure, haven't you? You got to be sure that what the relationship is. Yeah, because it is one of those ones where, especially if you're doing things like, I got to admit, some of the things that I do in our camp, because, you know, one of our yo-folk keeps our camp immaculate. And it took me a little while to be like, okay, is this okay role play? But I know it is that I will just come in and be like, and just throw my gauntlets randomly, and I know it's like just like everything's particular. I'll just come into that. I'll just stride into camp, do this, pick up a piece of paper, put my cloak down randomly, and then walk out because I know that.
Oh, and our yo-folk is brilliant. They're just like, oh, and they've got this anger and everything they're demonstrating as they're putting things away and stuff. And I'm just like,
great, yeah. It's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, that whole Devil Wears Prada moment. You throw the coat on the desk and expect them to go pick it up. But they make.
I'm so glad you said that. That's what I keep in mind when I'm like trying to do that. Like, okay, the relationship between yo-folk and noble, I have that in my head so often to be like, okay, this is how I'm getting into this character.
Oh yeah, that's all.
I think a lot of people have a good appreciation for what, you know, the spirit of what it was supposed to be with PD, because I think they don't want it to be like a master servant thing. They want it to be a like symbiotic relationship of like, it's not a, oh yeah, this is my slave or servant. This is like my carer. Like this is the person that I basically could not function without my yo-folk type thing. I think that's what they meant, and most people like do that beautifully in the role play with the yo-folk noble thing.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Our house are very much like, let's go check on the nobles, make sure that they know that this is the plan and that's what's going to happen, but they think it's their idea.
Or it's like, have the nobles eaten today? Has anyone checked to see if they've eaten anything today? No. Okay, let's make sure they eat something now.
Exactly. We're far too important for that sort of thing. We don't have the time.
I have to remind myself. Yeah. I mean, there are times I have to remind myself, like at the party this time actually. Obviously we had a lot of guests, and it was like there was lots and lots of people there, and I was like sat at my table, you know, like enjoying my drinks and my anniversary gifts and things like that. And I was just like, I remember saying to my my leaguish friend Fark, I was like maybe I should go out and like, you know, go and speak to people. And he like sort of almost went out of character. He was just like, it's like, no, you enjoy role playing a noble. If people want to come and speak to you, they will come and speak to you. And I was like, yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm a Dutch noble.
Right.
Yeah, no, they are. It's brilliant being like that. So I tend to bring a load of snacks and drinks and stuff, particularly to the kids. They know that they'll just come to us. Can I have a drink? Can I have a sweet? What have you? And we're like, yeah, just go under the table and grab it. And so that they've got all of this stuff that they can just access. But yeah, particularly now by putting them in the space of like a questing night and what have you, and giving them the test, we're like, go and fetch me a beverage. Help yourself to one. Give them free reign to go and access all the cans and drinks and sweets and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, they're very happy with it.
Yeah. How does it actually? So like, what's the age for like them to get their citizenship? Is there?
No idea.
There's a lower limit, right?
I don't know if it's. I don't really know to be honest. I can say that not my kids to look into it really, but I believe that it varies. I think depending on when you're ready to take the test. I don't necessarily think it's a steadfast age.
I think it's quite low actually.
Yeah,
like I think it is quite low because I think the only like real restrictions are on when it comes to taking like the battlefield and things like that.
Yeah.
But the citizenship test is quite low, I think, so that kids, some kids have literally grown up in the system, so they're ready pretty quickly to go do that.
Yeah, one of our friends said that their kid had passed it and got, because they get really cool stuff as well. They get like enchanted resources and things, because obviously they don't. The one thing they get is their resource when they become a citizen. They were like, oh yeah, no, they've just they've got enchanted herb garden or wherever it was, but they can only be like 8, 10.
I think he's 8.
8, yeah. So you can do it pretty early.
I think our kids are. I have a feeling they didn't particularly want to pass their citizenship test because they realised that they would have to. They can get away with a lot more when they're not officially citizens. Which again speaks volumes for the house that they're in and consequences and all of that. The more trouble they can make. Yeah.
No, I heard that line. I don't want to be a citizen because then I can't steal stuff and get away with it.
I think my response was yes, but I could really do with you becoming a citizen if you want to, do what you want to do next. But also, if you're stealing things anyway, this is what I'm after.
Also, a resource gives you money every event as well. So
yeah. That's it. My mum and dad have a lot of money, so they don't tend to worry. And again, they make a fortune as kids. They walk around with jewelry, and I think one of them had a writing set last time and made an absolute killing on it. It's crazy.
That was me.
I remember they came up to me with that writing set, and they were just like, "I think I could sell this for a throne." I'm like, "There's no I didn't ask them. I was just like, okay." They're like, right. "Yes, a throne." I was like,
do you know what's really funny about that writing set?
Cool,
I owed the Crimson Reapers. We like we said earlier, we had that reckoning coming, and I said to the kids, I was like, I need this money today. I owe the Crimson Reapers. And you know where they went straight away with the writing set? Straight to the Crimson Reapers. They sold it for 3 thrones. 3 thrones he sold it for. Came back, but here's your throne and a half. I sold it to the Reapers. I was like, oh my god, that's amazing.
That is a glorious way to pay your debts.
It's like, well done, children. You've done well.
Pure evil. Oh, bless them.
Yeah, I love it though. Yeah, because I always get confused. So I'm assuming, because a lot when you write your backstory, I'm assuming technically across the whole empire, is there an academy? Do we all have to pass our citizenship test in some way, or is that just I get quite confused because I'm assuming the reason is I'm assuming the in-game reason is that kids don't have to be in the same nation as their parents, so they just say you're not a Dornish child, you are an Imperial child, or you're so it doesn't matter who you hang out with, what you do, until you then are able to mentally decide I want to be part of this nation type thing. But I don't know whether that in the law covers the entirety of the empire.
I believe so, yeah. I think that we've all technically taken it at a younger age. It's just one of those things that's happened in our backstory. But yeah, again, unless you've particularly thought about it, because people don't engage with the academy necessarily, they wouldn't know that was a thing you were supposed to have done. But I have heard people talk about, when I was a kid and I took it sort of thing. Sort of the ones that know, but it's not a common thing. And again, not very often that people particularly talk about your backstory. That, you know, the old joke, no one cares about your backstory.
It's true. No one does. No, really, no one does. I'll tell you what, I would like to see, because I've heard people say they have seen them, is orc children.
Oh yeah, that's not a thing I've seen. Yeah,
No,
weird.
no. Apparently, there's been a couple of people that have had orc kids about, and I'm just like, that would be the most immersive and adorable thing ever.
It'd just be
They
so
must be
cute.
boiling.
Well, I guess that's the issue, isn't it? It's just like you've got to have a kid that's up for wearing the mask, you know, I guess. So it should be quite difficult. But
Yeah, the adults struggle with it, let alone a kid. Yeah, bless them. That must be so difficult. Maybe in the colder seasons it's all right, but yeah, that's a lot. Bless them.
Yeah, playing orc is like is I've heard it described as playing Emperor on hard mode. And when I first heard that, I went, oh yeah, because you kind of think obviously the costume, you like see the heat, but then every aspect of the game, like every time I go and interact with the Imperial Orcs, or you see them in military council or Senate or something like that, I'm like, yeah, they can barely hear anything or speak through the mask. Yet they're having to stand up and do speeches and be convincing and also role play as not a human. And I'm like, no, it really is like playing on hard mode. So
that's it. Yeah,
Sorry, don't go for it.
I was just going to say I've had similar experiences on the field, because obviously we're battling more as orcs, the orc masks in various ways, and trying to make a call, sort of trying to cleave someone's leg out, because the masks that we're using obviously not custom made particularly, unless you've got it made yourself. It doesn't fit right, and they just can't hear you. No matter how hard you shout, it's hard enough at the best of times, but with a mask, I've got no hope. Yeah, it's quite tricky.
Yeah, and
exactly, it's like just being able to like speaking with your ears being partially blocked in any sense, like you just can't quite get that volume thing right. But like Oliver said, like standing up and doing like a speech and like military council and stuff, I'm just like, how are they doing this? Because it's not like it's one of these things that like, how would you go about practicing it and everything as well? Because unless you're literally sitting in your house with your orc mask on practicing giving speeches to try and get through that, because otherwise, unless I guess you could poke like ear holes in, but that I've never seen any of them do that.
No, it's not an easy thing to do. Yeah, the armor and everything else is enough for me most of the time without engaging with another bit of kit to mess around with. You know,
I do love them, but yeah, the efforts they go to. Was it? I'm assuming you came to Dawn because you had. Did you say you came with a group the first time?
Yeah, so it came with an ex, but we were friends with the Go fans anyway. So yeah, it sort of made sense. Yeah. I think if it wasn't Dawn, I'd have probably gone to the League.
That makes sense too. Yeah, if you want to do lots of plays and things like that.
Exactly. Yeah, lots of theatre. I was a big fan of the computer game Monkey Island as a kid. It's a very old LucasArts point and click adventure game.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
So the whole premise is this swashbuckling pirate called Guybrush Threepwood. And so, yeah, the sort of the governor of the island, this woman called Elaine Marley, and she's a pirate sort of princess queen type thing. And so, yeah, I quite like the idea of they do like insult sword fighting, where you've got to rhyme one thing with another to earn a point, sort of stuff. I thought that'd be brilliant in the League.
That was pretty cool.
Bridge fighting insult sword fighter extraordinaire.
Yeah. Do you think you'll stay in the? You think you stay in Dawn, or do you think you'd want to go somewhere else after you're done with Cecilia, or?
For the minute, yeah, but very happy in Dawn. I want to see how this True Love stuff pans out, because I've spent the last year or so working on it. So it'd be really nice to like essentially have a massive party of hen do's and stag do's and all this, and then there will be, or there should be, a massive egregore wedding, because the other egregore, Florette, is also engaged with the Test of Ardour with Fabian.
Right, yes, yeah.
If they complete theirs, I think we'll hold out for them to complete theirs, and then we'll have this huge egregore wedding in Glory Square. So it will be fabulous.
That'll be fun.
Oh, that's going to be amazing. So, like, the next event is when you get to the end of this Test of Ardour. Is that correct?
Yeah. So next event, I'll find out if I've passed it. Then the summit after will be just straight up partying in various formats of, tours of Anvil and drinks and all sorts of games and silliness. And then I think we'll hold off on E1 because it's cold for one thing. And we'll give the others a chance to catch up, and then the wedding, the real thing, will be sort of E2, E3, I'd imagine.
Yeah,
that sounds perfect, actually.
They're usually the better events to do it, like say, when the weather's better. I mean, the weather was crappy too this year, but usually the weather's better, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah, once all of that's done, we'll see where I stand with it and what have you. Because again, Cecilia will have to test into the Egregor's house, which is interesting. Because I'll become Cecilia Griffensbane.
Yep.
Yeah, interesting. So I kind of want to see how that pans out. But I think once all that's said and done, yeah, there's everything to be said for potentially ending up in the league and doing something on there, particularly with Giuliano and Evelyn and Seawolves and that spending a lot of time next door in Dawn. There's a way that we can engage with League and be Leaguers, but still do it in here with all of our mates in Dawn.
Yeah.
So I quite like the idea of having best of both worlds in that sense.
Yeah. Do you do any other LARPs, or is Empire the only one you've ever done?
I do another one. Gritlands is the other one that I do.
Okay, what type of LARP's that?
Gritlands is a post-apocalyptic UK sort of based Nerf gun, but with LARP weapons as well. Game.
Yeah.
So it's headed up by Andy Connell and Kate Rowley.
Okay. Yeah.
Where they the sort of standing joke.
I'm like Andy sat and told us about this.
Yeah. In case Andy listens to this. Oh yeah, no, I do remember our conversation about this. Yeah. To be fair, it was like over a year ago. So.
So it's not been running a massive amount of time. I think we're on G3, as they call it. So this will be our third event coming up later on in the year. But yeah, the standing joke is essentially this is where all the comedy marcher bullshit went. Lots of stupid stuff. All the characters are just founded in nonsense. Like my group we're a religious group, and we are the followers of the littlest chef. And, we all dress like chefs in combat, and we all make a pilgrimage around the various little chefs of the UK where the old sites used to be, and that is our whole stance. Followers of the
I love it.
Yeah, that sounds like quite a good like palate cleanser for Empire. I've got to admit, since we started doing other LARPs other than Empire, I found I tend to enjoy Empire for what it is more. Because sometimes I lament what we don't get at Empire, but then when you go to a different game where you can get to do like the comedy march of bullshit, or you get to do, you get to do a bit of sci-fi stuff, or a character that you're not as precious about dying or something, and then you can come to Empire and be like, right, okay, this is I'm going to play my political character who's serious now, So
exactly, Gritlands is very much combat based. It changes site every time we go. So you never quite know what you're going to get, and it generally is like airsoft sites. So we've had one that was like all underground, and you had to go this massive spiral staircase to get to the ground. It's all just tunnels everywhere. Everything's pitch black, terrifying. Other ones, these sort of airsoft bases, an old prison, all that sort of stuff. It's really cool. And like pretty much predominantly all fighting. So you get all of that battling and skirmishing stuff that you don't necessarily can get on or have the time for at Empire. It's a real nice mix with all the stupid fun stuff in between. And so they have things that sort of increase your, you have hero points at Empire. We have stuff that restores our grit, and various ways of doing that. And so the religious groups do sermons. And so we've got so Emma Underwood plays Amicia in Empire. She comes along as this character who delivers these sermons all about cooking and what have you. We are all a creme brulee of life, and
I can picture her doing that.
Oh, it's absolutely incredible. It takes
not that much different from playing a senator, so it feels about the same sometimes.
It's absolute nonsense, all of this. Someone had a hand sanitizer hygiene gel, and this putting it into our hands as we're doing the sermon, and everyone's going, "Now wash your hands, now wash your hands." All the fun, all the silliness, all the corpsing and laughter and that sort of stuff, without too much taking it seriously. So that is definitely a nice chill one.
That's amazing. Well, Becky, we're about at time now. Is there anything you want to say now? You have a platform, anything you want to plug, anything you want to promote. You don't have to do anything, but if you just now you've got the opportunity.
Oh, no, I'm very much grateful for letting me on this and letting me have a chat about Empire. It's been great. Yeah, there will be a play next summit, so come along to my play, I guess, is the only plug.
Yeah, do the play.
100%.
We've started doing a what to. They seem to be quite popular. What to do at each event, like not because there's loads of information on like the PD run stuff. Like there's the player meetings, and people want to know what God is, what the hub is, blah blah blah. But most of the stuff, as you know, is player led, like your plays. So people seem to be getting a lot of value out of knowing what the players are putting on, especially new people that don't really know what to do, and they're like, oh, I don't know what's going on. So we will definitely plug that. We'll get the details from you and we'll plug it for the next one.
Perfect. Yeah. So thank you very much for having me. It's been a blast. Slowly less nervous about doing these things in future now. So
hey,
it's not scary.
Becky, practice makes perfect, and the time flew by, which is always a good sign. I'll put what was the LARP? What was Andy's LARP called again? Gridlands. Right. I'll put the link. I'll put a link for that to the website or wherever they have for that in the description as well. I guess we'll wrap up. Thank you again, Becky. We'll say goodbye to the podcast, everyone. Right. See you later, everyone. Bye. Thank you very much for stopping by. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you tell us down in the comments below. If you do fancy going to Empire LARP for the first time, we do have a referral code down in the description and in the show notes of the audio episodes. If you want to join Empire and also help us out a bit, make sure that you are subscribing to all of our social media, subscribe to the YouTube channel, go check out the Patreon if you so wish. Until the next time though, we love you very much and stay safe.